strong, empowered, authentic.
What's up, Ginger Nation? This is Tosh.
This is Darren, and you are listening to the Authentic
Ginger Podcast. Welcome to the Authentic Ginger Podcast. I'm Tosh Taylor.
Hi, and I'm Darren Roach, and welcome to the Authentic Ginger Podcast Tosh just mentioned. Today in the show, we have Carrie Close, I hope I'm saying your last name correctly, digital creator, author, realtor, and a mother to three beautiful redheads. Welcome to the show, Carrie. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Fantastic. So before we get started, whereabouts are you in the world?
So I live in Maine.
In Maine.
Not far.
Awesome.
Not far.
Yeah, pretty like mid central Maine.
Awesome.
About an hour from the ocean.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's really cool because we're all on the ocean then, because I know, well, Tosh, you're on the ocean kind of, aren't you? On this, close to St. John down there. You're there's some water, I'm sure.
No, I'm only about 15 minutes from the Northumberland Strait.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So we're all connected to the water. This is great. I like, and by the way, I like Maine. I when I travel to the States, I go. We have to go through Maine to do that, and I believe the 112 is the highway that I have to take, or the 12. I can't remember exactly which one it is, but Maine reminds me a lot of home here. I'm not sure if you've traveled much of it, Tosh, but it's quite nice. I do like that state, if you will. It's huge.
It's huge. Yeah, it is. So, Carrie, let's talk more about you and those three ginger babies of yours. Mm-hmm. So I don't know anything about you. So this is me trying to discover everything. How did you end up with ginger babies? Did you marry a ginger?
Yeah, Dad has red hair, so there's no redheads in my family. So we were really surprised. So the oldest, his name's Emerald, he's 7. He's my stepson, so he's from Josh's first marriage. So Josh, it's really funny, I think, that he had 3 redheaded kids with 2 different women.
Yeah.
But she was blonde, so it kind of made sense, that they had a redheaded kid. But I have pretty dark brown hair. Sorry, that's my son. I was going to go outside and sit in my car, but it's 20 degrees out and I just couldn't do it.
No, we don't mind the kids in the background. Typically our kids are running through too, so don't worry about it. Yeah.
And so our son, he came out with red hair and we were like really surprised. We're like, cool, I must be a carrier. We just needed, some strong. Josh has like those strong redhead genes, and then we had my daughter. We were like, we are sure, like, no, she's not gonna have red hair. What are the chances of that? And she came out with red hair too. So
that's pretty interesting. I would love to be a fly on the wall sometimes in these situations where where the discussion happens about red hair. Like I wonder what they're going to have. Like I never, like when I had all 3 of mine, I had to have that conversation because neither my wife or I have red hair. So it was like, what are we going to have this time? And all 3 of my children with my wife have red hair. And then my prior marriage of mine, he also has red hair. So all 4 kids of mine have red hair. None of us had red hair. Mm-hmm. So I find it really interesting to be a fly in the wall to go, how does that conversation go? Like, honey, do you think we're going to have redhead babies, or like what's going on here? But the thing is, in your situation with your husband being a redhead, if I'm doing my math correctly, Tosh, correct me if I'm wrong, it's a higher chance. It's more than 50-50 that you're going to have a redheaded baby. I suspect he's a carrier for sure. And you must, I guess, maybe you have to be a carrier.
You have to have,
right? Because otherwise, there wouldn't. Yeah. So there you go. Now there you go. Any more babies you have, you're gonna have redheads.
We did our ancestry DNA, and he's like 40% Scottish, which is crazy. And I have like a good amount, like, I don't know, it's like 20 or maybe 15% Irish and some Scottish. So it's like, okay, that makes sense,
Somewhere in there. And we had the same conversation in our house because our oldest is a blonde. My husband's dark like you are. And so I was like, well, I'm never going to get a ginger because I assumed, because his mom kept saying there's no redheads in our family. Like
Yeah.
there never was any redheads. And I was like, okay, well, I'm clearly a carrier. He's not. I'm not going to get a ginger baby. And then our youngest came out redhead. So I was like, suckers. There is a redhead in that line, and our genes are so strong. It just is so many generations that it takes to come back through. I think clearly they're strong genes.
When you're doing those tests, I'm curious to know, is there a section on those tests that allow you to, can you actually, is there anything in these tests that can tell you if you're going to have a redhead or not?
No.
Like genetic testing?
Yeah, anything like that. Like,
I have no idea.
maybe that should be, I mean, not that it's a big thing, like not that it needs to be there, but for a lot of people who are redheads, it'd be nice to know if they can have redhead babies. You know, so if you do one of these DNA testings,
Oh,
you should be
yeah,
able to find
I'm
out.
sure you can. Yeah.
Yeah, there must be a way to find out. I need to check into that. I'm going to mark that down
Yeah.
because
And so when you're like dating,
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sorry,
that's
like it's just
right.
not gonna work out.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a Gattaca. That's the
Exactly. So, okay, so you have babies. They're redheads, and they're the cutest little things. I don't know if have you seen them, Tosh? Like,
No, I haven't.
these kids are adorable, and I've been following you for quite a while. And I'm curious to know, like, when you have young redhead babies, do you automatically kind of go into that mode of these, it's rare. I mean, it's not overly rare, but it's rare enough in the over the world. Do you start really thinking about what am I going to do to showcase them in a way that says like their hair is beautiful and this I want to put them out there, or do you even think about that? Because I mean, your photos that you take of them are quite stellar, right? I mean, they're majestic. I have to say, they are. They really are.
Look.
You're gonna have to, and you're gonna see
I
what
might
I'm
be able to
seeing.
get one. Josh, can you
That's right.
I might be able to get one.
Yeah. No, you have a look, Tosh, while I'm talking because you have to see what I'm seeing. Is it a purposeful thing that you do? I mean, there's one.
Oh, I love it. Hi.
Yeah. Who is this we have on air with us?
This is Zaria. She's my daughter.
She's your daughter.
Hi.
Hi, Zaria.
16 months.
Yeah, she's super cute.
And
Super
it's
cute.
straight red hair at that. That's impressive. I think that's ultra rare. Does she have? Yeah, she has blue eyes too, doesn't
They
she?
all have blue eyes. Josh and I have blue eyes, and they all got the blue eyes.
Wow.
So your husband's Josh.
Yeah.
He has blue eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, he has a killer beard too, I must say.
Yeah.
Make sure you tell him that.
He's been growing that out.
There you go. Yeah. So take us through that. I mean, did you plan on even if you had other hair colors of babies, would you have planned to do the same thing, or do you go, you know what, this is kind of rare, blue eyes at that. I'm gonna really put it out there and put it out social.
No, I mean, yeah, I think they're my kids. I'd take pictures of them. They didn't have red hair.
Same thing.
I think, back to your question earlier, if I feel like I don't even need to let them know that they're special because everywhere we go, people are like, oh my God.
That's,
yeah.
Yeah.
They want to touch
red
it.
hair is really coveted. I don't know. Yeah. So people just are always like, oh my God, their hair is so beautiful.
Yeah.
I'd have to pay so much money to make my hair that color.
Oh my God. Yeah. All the time. Did you get that right off the hop? Like when your son was first born in the hospital, I noticed it right away with our daughter and the nurses the second she was born. Oh my God. This is so great. She's got such nice hair. And I was like, oh, can I see her?
The first time I brought my son to see the pediatrician, she looked at me. She was like, how did that happen?
Yeah.
She's like, this is your baby? I'm like, yep, he's my baby.
This is the conversations I love to hear, eh?
It's so funny.
It really is, because people just say the funniest things, and sometimes the darndest things, and sometimes the shittiest things.
Yeah, I know. I feel like I go out and people probably think I'm like the nanny,
Yeah.
Also, I'm a young mom, so
right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And our hair color is very different. So
Right. And but when you go with your husband out somewhere, obviously it's like, oh, now we know where it comes from. It's pretty obvious right there on the spot. So did you have to think anything different? Did you know about redheads in the sense of, has your husband talked to you about any kind of issues or bullying that he's gone through, and you worry about that with your kids? Have you guys ever discussed that?
We've never really talked about it, but I do like, obviously like, I grew up with like, hearing like, where does it come from? That show I never watched, South Park,
Yep.
the gingers
Right.
have no souls
Yep.
type thing. Or I'll see like, it was just the other day, my son was watching this like old Disney cartoon and it had like, one of the villains had like red hair, like this old man, he was bald, but he had like red on the sides. And I
Right.
see stuff like that. And I'm like, I feel like that is kind of like a trope of like, like this villain, like redheaded villain. And I
Mhm.
don't, yeah, it makes me like kind of cringy inside because I'm like, oh, I don't want them to see that. And like, thank you. Because kids are so impressionable.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I wonder if the 7-year-old, because he would be in school, right, is if
Mhm.
he's noticed anything yet. However, I feel like kids these days, the redhead is kind of seen more as a good thing than it was,
Mhm.
like, say, growing up in the 80s
Yeah.
for our generation. Um, I feel like he's probably better off. I don't know, Darren, do your girls ever notice anything? I know my kids don't at all.
No, not really. I think but they've also grown up in this company since we
Hmm.
started in 2018. So they're now kind of oblivious to everything and more kind of just driving towards it. Like they're just going right towards red, 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 red. And no, I don't see it. My son, who's 23 now, Michael, he had gone through some stuff. So that's why the company started essentially is from that basis of his experiences in junior high school. But no, it's real. It's out there still. Carrie, we talk to a lot of people, and there's a lot of stories that we hate to hear, but we always put them on because it's important that people can come on and draw from experiences of others to either alter their own experiences as they move forward or whatnot. But it's really interesting, I find, to talk to someone who doesn't have red hair but who has redhead babies, because your thoughts and your I guess anticipation of what could come down the road. I mean, maybe it's likely not, because I think we're in a different, stratosphere than the 80s, but South Park really did
Hmm.
unfortunately put redheads on the map as being, and they're not the only ones. We talk about mid-century, jokers always were redheads. So redheads are showcased in a different manner on a lot of ways in a lot of media than other colors of hair.
Hmm.
So that's why I was kind of like, I was really interested to talk to you about this, because you're a mom who doesn't have red hair, but also someone who does have three redhead babies, and I'm sure that there's conversations that you might have with Josh about, well, what happens if they get made fun of, or if someone, and I think your response earlier to the question of becoming cringy when you start looking at these characters that you've recognized over the years, that it's possible, right? That something could happen, and how do you handle that is the question, right?
Mhm.
So, so that's that. So I'm curious to know as well. You're an author. You've written books. I don't know how many. I know just one. Okay, you've written one. So, do you have anything in your mind that you would write a story about your kids?
Um, Maybe someday.
Yeah. What kind of writer are you?
Um, the book that that got published back in March it's a collection of poems and short stories.
Okay.
Yeah, and some of it's fiction, some of it's like autobiographical. It's like I wrote it was all written like before I had kids, so it's like my writing style has changed a lot
Right.
too.
Yeah.
Everything changes a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
I'm almost done with my BFA. I'm taking my last class right now, which is an independent study. But last spring, I was taking a poetry workshop, and like some of the comments on my poems, like not everyone liked me in my class because I'm outspoken and I'm not like in a writing environment. Like I think it's important to never be, mean, but it's also important to give good criticism. I don't want people to like read my poem and be like, oh yeah, it's so great. Like, no, I want you like be honest. Like give me like feedback that's gonna help me make it
Hmm.
better.
Right.
So I definitely made some enemies of people who just, wanted you to say that their poem was just like so beautiful.
Yeah.
And this one girl, she like would write on all my poems like thanks for ruining childbirth for me. Like, can you write about something different? Like not just like giving birth and breastfeeding, please.
Right. Oh
Like,
my God. That's yeah.
sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
This is
You
my
know, I
life
didn't love
now.
your screenplay about pirates, but I wasn't like, can you not write about pirates?
Way to ruin pirates for me.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Jeez. Some people.
Yeah,
God.
seriously.
Yeah, like so then you may not have anything in your mind for your kids to write a poem, even a poem. Like I just think it would come from a really interesting place to write something with those children in mind because um, if you've got the creative touch behind you, why not? Like I've often thought about trying to do that. I'm not a writer and never will be,
Hmm.
but I've always wanted to write about my kids with red hair and kind of educating ups and flows and downs of this story. But I just, it's not in me to do so. Maybe it is. I just jot it down and someone else can write it. But you know,
I think I definitely will. I'm more of a like, things like take time, like writing. Like I don't really write about anything that's happening in the present because, well, if I do, it's more like journaling, and I feel like that's like emotional stuff that's like
mhm.
therapeutic to write, but not necessarily like good craft that anyone else wants to read. So I find like I have to like take distance from things. So I'll probably write more about my kids like as they grow. But I do every year for Christmas, we make them photo books,
Yep.
like one for each kid, like with
Yeah.
pictures of themselves. And so I write in those like about like, oh, like Emran has beautiful red hair like his daddy. And so I do like,
Oh, that's nice.
yeah, they're like 20-30 pages. And this I just started making them this year. I have so much fun with it, but I'm writing about like the origins of their names. And
Oh, wow.
yeah.
You know what? That's a great idea. That's people listening. That's a great idea. Especially not especially if you have redhead kids. It can be any color hair. It doesn't really matter. But because we are a redhead, culture show,
Mhm.
I think that's a great idea. In fact, I like that idea. I might even try something like that myself because
Yeah.
it's what's nice when I think about what you just said. I go back and when the kids are in their 30s, 40s, whatever how old they are, they're much older, and they look at this. There's inspiration they can draw from that, and depending on how you write the story, however it's written throughout this lookbook or not, whatever they were called, or photo books. Um, I like the idea of having something that the kids can look back on and say, yeah, we really this is our culture, and I don't know if the redhead culture is a culture. I call it a culture because I think it is. It's my mission to touch 271 million redheads in the world and let them know that there's someone up there standing for them. And I know Tosh is right beside me on that too. So it's important, and I think that's a great idea. I think that's a great Christmas idea. Love it.
We tried to get them some toys, but I also like, if you just get them a bunch of toys that they don't play with, like, what's the value in that? And I know I could probably find a cheaper book, but I use Artifact Uprising is the name of the company that I make their books, and I really like it. They turn out so
Cool.
beautiful. Um, yeah, and it was and they read them like we read them like like multiple times a week to them like all throughout the year. And I like to do pictures from our family photo sessions, and then like just pictures throughout like that year to like
Hmm.
it's kind of a reflection of like what they've done and how they've grown, and like new
Hmm.
things they're doing through the year.
Very cool.
Yeah, that's interesting. Also, I love looking back through photo albums, like old family photo albums, and my kids aren't going to have that. They're
You're
gonna,
right.
Yeah, everything's digital. And
yeah,
I like to have both, I always think what happened, like if society collapses, like I'm gonna lose all my photos on my
hmm.
Instagram.
Right.
It's true though. I'm like, okay, well, my kids have photo albums on Facebook, so
Yeah.
that's
Right.
not always going to be around, I don't think.
No.
And I haven't updated them since they were like 2, so
Yeah, that's exactly.
that's when I stopped doing that. But anyway.
I know I also read that young children, I think it's like under 10, their favorite word is their name.
Huh.
So I put, I start every page with like their name. I'm like, like, Zephyr, is mischievous.
So you would say that you would say that to him.
Yeah, that's what, I like start every page with like, or
Oh,
Emrand is riding his bicycle, Emrand's learning to ride his bicycle, or, I like to do funny ones too, like, based on the picture. Like one was, I like to do their Halloween costume too for each page. So Zephyr was a lion last year, which is funny because his lion mane hair like
yeah.
matched his hair perfectly.
Yeah. I think I saw that.
Love it.
So it was like, Zephyr's a lion, roar. And he loves that page, always like roar.
Oh, that's really cool. Man, what
That's
a
a
Yeah, I
great
really,
want
idea.
them to grow
yeah.
up feeling like they're special.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. So Darren mentioned when we started that you kind of have like a lot of job descriptions, right? I was like, wow, okay, so she does a little bit of everything. So,
Uh,
so can we talk like a little bit more? We were talking about your writing and that you've published a book. You're a digital creator. What do we mean by that when we say digital creator?
I think that's just, I don't know, a title for anyone who's like making creative content. I didn't know this. I recently discovered that like Instagram and Facebook will pay you to make reels.
What?
Yeah, which is kind of like blew
Tosh.
my mind.
Yeah.
So, oh, you guys are gonna love this.
Uh-huh.
So Instagram hasn't, you have to be invited. Instagram hasn't invited me to their Reels Play program yet, which I'm a little peeved about. But Facebook did.
Okay.
Wow.
The beginning of October. And I've been trying to make a reel almost every day. I do, a lot of me, like my kids, and then Josh, we bought this apartment building that we're living in that needs a lot of work. So I've been like taking videos of Josh doing work. And this one of him, like, just, whatever, like, screw me, my kids. This one of him digging holes has over 1 million views on Facebook right now.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. All my
the-
other videos have like, a few hundred or maybe like a
Yeah.
couple thousand, but this one just like blew up and I no idea why.
It's the red hair digging holes,
Yeah,
apparently.
it's like the beard and
Right.
Yeah.
His last few pictures I saw, he was still doing the deck,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I didn't see any hole digging.
Well, it was like the first one. He had to dig some holes to put these cement rounds in, which are like
right.
the base of the deck.
Right.
Yeah. I don't, the internet's weird,
And did they pay you well?
Yeah, Tosh.
So
I
right
love
now
this.
they track your views and they don't tell you like you don't get paid a certain amount of money like per view, but like the max bonus I can make like in a month period right now is $1,200, and so far for November I've made over 400. So, and
Carrie,
that's like well, it's like just making reels that I was gonna make anyway.
Yeah.
how did you figure this out?
Well, actually I found out about it a few months ago because
Yeah.
a friend of mine on Instagram posted about how she got invited to the program and was like making money from her
Wow.
reels. And I was like, what? How do you do that? And she's like,
Yeah.
you have to get invited.
Oh my gosh, Tosh, how you gonna get invited, Tosh?
I'm not
Tosh does reels all the time, every
I know.
day.
I know.
But
I'm gonna
yeah,
have to look
well,
into it.
yeah, I haven't been invited on Instagram yet. And they don't like,
Right.
you try to find out information about it, but it's like they try to keep it really secretive.
Hmm.
But Facebook and Instagram, I mean, they're owned by the same, Meta.
Right.
I was reading they're putting just in 2022 they're investing billions of dollars into creators because we're the new like marketing platform. Like so
Yes.
Instagram and Facebook make money based on the more time that people spend on the app because they make money from ads.
Right.
So
Right.
their whole goal is to like, keep you like on the app as long as possible and like keep you coming back to the app. So that's what reels are like, these like addictive, like fast paced, like content that you just like kind of scroll through and then they sneak their ads in. Like you don't even know ads are ads anymore.
crazy.
Yeah.
You just like think because someone was like, oh yeah, I watched a bunch of reels and I was like, we were talking about ads and it was like, I didn't see any ads. It was like, oh, you did. You just didn't know they were ads.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
And then,
are
yeah,
your
it's
kids in
crazy.
these? Are your kids in
Also
these ones that you're doing?
Sorry.
Sorry, no, that's good. I was gonna say, are your kids in these reels that you're doing as well? Like they're everyone, the whole family's in these reels?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I cut you off. Your brand,
No,
you're gonna say.
Just yeah, and now like and brands also are investing more. It's like this whole like new like because no one watches cable TV anymore, right? Like maybe
Nope.
your grandparents. So like so yeah, brands invest in you like what brand do brand partnerships with creators. So you probably see that a lot, like makeup or like clothes. Like I watch like funny moms who like make funny content, but then they're also like, oh, you can buy this sweater from blah blah blah. Here's my link.
Yeah, link in bio. Link in
Yeah.
bio. Yeah.
Which and I
Yeah.
know I'm like making fun of it, but I think and I know like people also are like negative about social media and it's a waste of time or like blah blah. But for me, it's like I think it's pretty amazing if I can spend a couple hours on my phone every day and like start to like make some money for my family and not have to like do a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Which I don't have any interest in doing because I want to be home with my kids.
Yeah. Yeah. And I
Good for
mean,
you.
$400 is nothing to laugh at. That's,
Yeah.
for, like you said, for doing what you were going to do anyway.
Yeah.
Like, I love that. I love it. And I'm going to spend the rest of my day trying to figure out how I can get invited. I have a goal now. Thank you very much.
That is hilarious. Hey, I've got a question for you, Carrie. Do you have a question for us about anything redhead?
Oh.
Oh boy, you should have prepped me for this.
I know, but this is the beauty of the show. We're off the cuff. This is how we do it.
Yeah, so you have 4 redheaded children. I was
Yep.
reading the pamphlet you sent me about your podcast this morning. So
Yep. I
on
have
a last
4.
minute paper.
Yeah,
that's right.
We're the same. I didn't
We're
even
the
look
same.
at your Instagram until we were already talking. So don't.
No, because I mean, do you know any facts about the redheads?
I know that like, there's less of them in the world and there might not be any in 100 years, which is kind of scary.
Well, we fixed that problem.
Yeah, you're right. We're fixing it though.
Right? That's going to be no problem.
One at a time.
You're going to be good. You're going to be not. It's going to be good for you to know that your kids are going to need more anesthesia or not need as much anesthesia.
But,
more.
I
more.
heard those. That's so interesting that they have like less pain tolerance or higher pain tolerance. Yeah. Yes, they need more anesthesia.
Yeah, neither one of my epidurals worked because they didn't give me enough. Yeah, that's how I found out my first labor.
So crazy.
Yeah.
And I remember learning in school that redheads have like less pigment in there's like the least amount of pigment of like any like hair color or whatever. So yeah, like people like I buy my kids swimsuits that are like full body, they cover their like arms and legs, and I'm like rubbing sunscreen and I'm like, if you don't wear your hat, we're going home. And people are like, oh, like the sun's good for them. Like, don't be so like,
oh yeah,
like mean about it or whatever. Like, do you have to be such a like harp? I'm like, okay, like, yeah, I'll let my kid not wear a hat for an hour, and then you can like take them home with you and listen to them cry about their sunburn and rub aloe on them all night.
Yeah, exactly.
Tosh, isn't that what your mom used to say to you as a kid?
Well, I mean, she'd never say it, but I mean, it was 80s. She didn't realize, and she had 2 redhead kids, and had as a redhead mom and married a redhead. And still, you didn't get it. Sunscreen wasn't, but I did always have to wear a hat. I always had to wear a hat. It's something else I learned the other day too, when we're talking about sun, and because you have blue-eyed babies as well, that their eyes are more sensitive. You might know that because you have blue eyes.
Oh yeah.
But the less pigment in your eyes, the worse the sun is for your eyes as well. And I didn't know that. I actually, in a separate podcast, was interviewing an ophthalmologist, and I didn't realize that people with blue eyes are more sensitive to the sun. I have hazel eyes, so I'm kind of in between but people with brown eyes can go far longer without sunglasses than people with blue eyes. So
when it's bright, I can't not wear sunglasses outside. I like get a headache like instantly.
That's funny.
Crazy.
I do too because I have blue eyes as well, and I never knew that. That's really cool.
Yeah,
I'm also like super sensitive to to overhead lights. Like we don't have any in our house. Like I don't know. It just the bright lights coming up from above, like just
It's
Right.
yeah, that's interesting. But I bet you it has something to do with the pigment of your eyes, which I think is kind of neat. These things I'm learning as I become more and more an adult. I'm like,
Yeah.
all these things I wish I had known 35 years ago
Right. Maybe
would have
there's
been
sunscreen for eyeballs.
yeah, yeah, it's called sunglasses.
Yeah, that's right. Maybe there's
I
contacts that could do that. Maybe,
There might
who
be.
knows?
There might be
Yeah.
if you just started wearing dark contacts. I'll tell you something, Carrie. When my sister-in-law had my nephew, my brother is also a redhead, and their son was quite ginger, but now he's kind of gone blonde. But the first thing that she said to me was, "Why did you not tell me that his hair would repel water?" And I was like, I was like, oh, I never thought of that because we have your kids'
Uh,
hair looks like it's not as wiry. Um,
Yeah, it's very fine right
it's fine.
now.
Okay, so my hair takes an awful lot to get wet. Like I have to stand under the water for quite some time before my hair will actually start to soak in water. My nephew is the same, and because he has like like a buzz cut, and it just like it hits his forehead and it just
yeah.
shoots back off. That was the one question she asked me about having a redhead kid. She was like, "Why did no one tell me he would repel water?" yeah,
I love that.
yeah,
Do you
yeah.
like the term redhead or ginger when someone's referring to your kids?
I don't have a preference.
I'm not. I'm surprised about that. I thought you'd have a bit of a preference. I thought you'd like ginger.
I do. I like them both. I think I like ginger baby. Oh my God. Someone commented, this is still my favorite thing. On a post like from like last summer of Josh wearing Zephyr like in a backpack, and we were
Right?
like hiking through the woods, and then we were like free range ginger 2-pack.
I love it.
I love that.
Love it.
That's amazing.
Free
Yeah.
range ginger. Oh my God, what a great T-shirt that would be. Free
Yeah.
range ginger.
Yeah. Get on it, Darren. We need them.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Good heavens, that's amazing. And I wanted to finish off with a question that I've been curious about this entire time with your Instagram account and what you're doing, which again I've marveled at, and I've said earlier in the show how nice it is. What is your favorite color to put on your children? Because you have a theme.
Yes, it's funny if you look at like all of our closets, because I'm in charge of the shopping, and it's like I don't realize it when I'm like buying things, and I'm like, I like
Like
I
what?
really just buy like certain colors. I don't
Yeah.
I like these pastel-y like blues, and I love them in greens, and obviously I've been buying like pink stuff for my daughter because
Right.
she's a girl, like pale. I like the pale pink and just all paler color, or like, but they look so good in dark greens. So I like to buy them like like deep foresty green colors.
Yeah. It's a habit. Trust me. And their favorite colors will probably always be green because I know that's mine for sure. And it's also my ginger kid's favorite color as well.
Green is?
Yep. Yeah. And I think it's just I don't know what it is, but if it's just because it looks so good with the hair or the skin for that matter too. I before we wrap up, I wanted to know because you have mentioned a couple of your kids' names and they're really cool names. So what are all three of their names?
Emrand, my stepson, his name is Emrand, Emerand, which Josh claims that he like just came up with, and like I guess he kind of did, but because again for their books, I like talk about the meaning of their name, and I picked Zephyr and Zarya's. That's my son Zephyr and Zarya. Yep. I picked their names for their meaning, and we wanted to go really unusual. I'm Harry and Josh is Josh, and there's like a million Joshes in the world, and we wanted them to have different names, which is fun and also annoying when people call my son Zephyr Zephyr.
Oh, all right.
Office, they're like, is a Zephyr here? Like, it is a real name. Like,
yeah.
And anybody who is in their say 45 or higher should know there was a car named after your son.
Yeah, well, there's like a Zephyr, like the blimps, and
yeah.
So Zephyr comes from Zephyrus, who's the Greek god of the west wind.
Cool.
Love it.
I really like that. And then Zarya, I wanted to do another Z name because I thought that would be really cute. And Zarya is in Slavic mythology is the goddess of the dawn.
I love that.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Zaria?
Yeah, Zarya.
Yeah, that's a really pretty name.
So it's
Mhm.
we spelled it Zarya. There are like, but if you look up that, like the more common spelling for the Slavic goddess of the dawn is like Zorya, but I preferred A. But there's also like they'll tell you there's like 10 variations of how to spell it because I think their myths are predating writing is what I'm assuming why you can spell
Any way you want. Yeah, that makes
so
sense.
many
Yeah.
ways. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, and Emerald, it's a very old French name. Like I found on Ancestry. Oh, sorry, princess. I found birth records and death records of like people named Emerald. So that's cool, but I can't find a meaning for it, which is irritating.
Yeah.
Like in some like French baby book from the 1800s, it's probably, has a meaning.
Yeah. But good luck finding it. Yeah.
You can make up your own meaning.
Yeah. That's right.
That's fantastic.
Just make him god of something. Yeah. And he'll love it. Yeah.
Yeah, he will like that.
Yeah, that's right.
God of
That's
the red
awesome.
hair. Yeah. Hi.
You say hi.
So Carrie, where can people get all the information about you and follow your family?
So my Instagram's Carrie CARRIE.Close CLOSE.
Okay. Perfect. That's great. And that's this. I was so happy you joined us today. I'm going to tell you this because, as I said, I've been watching what's been going on with you guys. I've been following you. Your stories have been kind of engaging all the way through, and the kids and all the red hair flowing around your household. So I definitely want to appreciate. I want to appreciate you coming onto the show and taking some time for us this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Tosh, is there anything else?
No, I just think that you might be the first parent of ginger babies besides Darren that we've ever had on that wasn't a ginger themselves. So
That's right.
Thank you for that. Hi.
It is like when you look at us together, it's like
yeah.
pretty stark difference.
Yeah, there's
That's
a stark
right.
difference for sure,
Yeah.
but she looks like you. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, you guys have a great day, and thank you for everyone listening to the Authentic Ginger Podcast. See you later.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Authentic Ginger Podcast.
Become a part of the Ginger Nation by liking, subscribing, following, and leaving a review wherever you listen to podcasts. This podcast was produced by Tosh Taylor of the Podcast Hub Productions. Find her online at podcasthub.ca.